Another day, another project over here at Auto Auction Rebuilds. Look at this. This is some horrible weather we got going on out here, but I gotta get this truck done, so let's get started. All right, first thing we gotta do is move this truck. Sadly, it's sitting, yeah, it couldn't be in a worse position. It's sitting right in the middle of all this water. So we're gonna move it up just a hair. I've not started this thing in several days. I've been very sick. I haven't been able to do much of anything. Man, I love how it just fires right up. Boy, it's cold. Whoa. I was hoping I could pull this into the garage, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Must have the e-brake on. There we go. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it into the garage. This thing is tall. I think that's about as far as we're gonna go. Look at that clearance, man. This is a big truck. I like it. It's a big truck. Let's see if that'll do. Get us out of this water. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I don't think this truck would fit in this garage at all, even at factory height. Surely this thing isn't lifted, right? I don't know, it looks to me like it sits high. Man, the poor Corvette. I feel so bad letting this car sit out in the ice and the snow like this. I really do. You guys asked about the Volkswagen. Oh, it's still there. We're thinking about running it back through the auction. One thing I want to get done today is sawzall this off, or get the grinding wheel out and grind this off. This is a lock that holds this on here, and that's great, but we don't have a key for it, and I'm honestly very afraid my fiance is going to come out one morning, because we tend to keep these cars parked kind of tight up here. Oh, a tree just fell. Whoa. Oh man, that was my neighbor's backyard. I guarantee you couldn't see that on this camera. I heard the cracking, looked over, and sure enough, her tree just fell in her backyard right over there. This ice storm is dangerous, man. Anyway, I'm afraid my fiance is going to trip over this and bust her face, especially with all the ice and stuff that's accumulating out here. So we're going to get a grinder, sawzall, get that off. I did something today. I bought something. Okay, I rented a ball joint press kit. This should help us get the ball joints out. I got my my kit from Detroit Axle. It should have just about everything other than the center link, and we got a new center link in the house. But I actually went out and got, can you believe it? I got a torque wrench. I know it's a cheap one, but it's a torque wrench. I actually got a torque wrench. We got some high temperature, good quality grease. I got some snap ring pliers from Harbor Freight. I got a 35 millimeter socket nut. We got a pitman arm puller, although I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think there's any room to get a pitman arm puller under there. I think we're gonna have to get the grinder and grind the old pitman arm off. Okay, we got it up in the air, and here's the resting position of the suspension when it's unloaded and in the air. Look at that. This wheel over here is almost straight. This wheel is turned, oh, 45 degrees, at least 45 degrees out. Wow. Wow. And we still have the issue, obviously. We grab this wheel and that's major. You'll see how this wheel is. Lots of play. Lots of play. Now, I've had all of the suspension components soaking in PB Blaster for several days, probably close to a week now. So hopefully that'll help get all this stuff off. Let's get these wheels off and get started. First, we'll take off this wheel. These are going to be a 21. Man, this suspension is shot. Goodness. Now, because I'm replacing basically everything under here, from tie rods on this end, outer tie rod, all the way to outer tie rod on that, and what I'm going to attempt to do, and I don't know if it can be done or not, never done it this way before, but I'm going to disconnect this tie rod, then we're going to disconnect the idler arm, or sorry, the pitman arm right here. We're going to drop that down. We're going to disconnect the pitman arm right here. Then we're going to disconnect the outer tie rod on that end, and by doing that, that should drop the entire center link, the whole suspension. I think, I could be wrong, but I think we can remove the whole suspension out the side of the truck, and then we can just lay it out on the ground, and we'll assemble the new one with about equal lengths from tie rod to tie rod. We'll try to set it up basically just like this is, and we'll see how everything comes out when we slide it back in, but this will be interesting because I've never done it before. Next, we need to take out this cotter pin right here, take this cap off of the 35 mil underneath, then break that loose, and we'll tap this with a hammer to help guide it through the hub assembly. So go ahead and take your needle nose and pry this little cotter pin as straight as you can get it. Start rocking that sucker side to side gently. Just keep rocking it. There you go. Man, that took way longer than it should have, but that's how it goes. Pop this little cap off here. There we go. Now we got access to this. This should be a 35 millimeter axle nut right here. All right, time to put this Earthquake XT to work. Look at that. Like it's nothing, man. I love this tool. Love it. All right, so you don't want to mushroom this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit of penetrating oil down in here to get it into these grooves. And we're going to slide the axle nut back on until it's flush with the top of the axle shaft. Then we're going to gently start tapping it with a hammer to get it out of there. And look, don't be afraid to douse your suspension. I just hit it again with a ton of WD-40. I'm soaking everything. I'm talking ball joints, soak all of it. The more you get soaked, the better off you're going to be when it comes time to getting things like ball joints and tie rods up out of here. So we're going to hit this with some WD. Get that in there real good. We'll slide this nut back on until it's about flush right here. See that? We'll take a BFH, a big freaking hammer, and tap that sucker through. All right, I got my handy dandy mini sledge here. We're just gonna, you see how easy that is? There you go. The axle's ready to go through on its own. Take your axle nut off, throw it to the side with everything else. And you could take this apart however you want to, man. There's no real order to doing this. I think next, let's go ahead and get this tie rod off, and then we'll get the idler arm off as well. Then we can work on the ball joint. All right, so for the nut, normally there's a cotter pin down here, but the cotter pin is missing on the tie rod. This is going to be a 21, and I highly recommend you have an impact to do this. It's going to make things a lot easier. Look at that. And a lot of times on these tie rods, you end up having problems, tie rods and ball joints, with if you're using a ratchet, this starts spinning on you, and you have to get an Allen key in there to get it out. It can be a real pain in the you know what. So I highly recommend, if you can help it, get some impacts, man. Impacts help a lot. Then to get this tie rod out, you should just be able to tap on the knuckle right here. There you go. Tie rod is loose, just like that. And I guess next we'll work on the idler. I'm gonna wait on that pitman arm. I ain't trying to do that pitman arm right now. Let's go ahead, disconnect the upper ball joint, take off this upper control arm. We'll get the ABS line out of the way, take off the brake caliper. Let's worry about removing the rest of this suspension for a minute. Let's go ahead and dig deeper into this before we go screwing with all that. Next, I'm going to zip tie this caliper and bracket out of the way. We're going to try to take the whole caliper off as an assembly. I don't have the tool to press in the brake pads to get over this ridge, so we'll just have to hope that we can get over the ridge. Otherwise, I don't know. So we're going to start by taking off this right here. There's a nut right here, an 18, and then there's another one right there in the center of your screen. That's an 18. We're going to see if we can get to it with the Earthquake here. Looks like I can get to this lower one all right. All right, there's one. Unfortunately, this top one is not going to be so easy to get to because of the brake line in the way. So let's get that out of there. Then we'll zip tie this caliper out of the way. Okay, so what I've done here is I wrapped a zip tie around this hole up here. I've got a zip tie wrapped around where this slider pin is for the brakes right here. And I've already got it somewhat off of the rotor. It came off on its own, didn't need to compress it or anything. And we're just going to take this and one more zip tie. I'm going to wrap a zip tie through this hole like this, and we're going to hang it through that hole, that zip tie right there. Can't do that on camera, so bear with me. All right, just like that, we've got the caliper hung up out of the way. This is much easier if you have a metal coat hanger. They actually sell a hook where you can hook it onto there. Works better, but I mean, this will do. These are sturdy zip ties. They're not going anywhere. Now we can pop this rotor off right here. And now we are left with a heat shield and the actual hub bearing assembly itself. So what we're going to do now is move this out of the way. We got to get down here, pull out this cotter pin from the lower ball joint right here, pull out the cotter pin from the upper ball joint here. We need to also find the ABS wire. I'm pretty sure we need to disconnect that. Yeah, I'm following where this is all going because we're going to have this all taken off the knuckle here when we replace the ball joints. So follow your ABS wire up. It'll go under here somewhere. There will be a connection, and then just disconnect that and get that ABS wire out of the way so we can remove the knuckle and set it off to the side, where we then have clean access to replace the shock, the lower ball joint, snap ring, and the upper control arm. All right, so on the lower ball joint, looks like it's actually some weird number like a 25. I managed to get a 1 1/16 that fits pretty snugly. I'd really like it to fit snugger than that, but it's either that or this 27 that I've got here, which also is kind of loose. So we're gonna try it and see what happens. Bingo! We got lucky on that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna screw this back on until, just like before, it's about flush. Well, I'm surprised it actually came off that easily. Now what you want to do is you want to take your BFH and you want to just knock on this knuckle pretty hard. I'm going to back this camera up out of the way here. But you want to tap on this knuckle and hopefully it'll release. There we go. See that? We just released it. Yeah. All right. We basically got to do the same thing to the upper ball joint. Unfortunately, on the upper ball joint, I cannot get my impact in there because the axle is in the way. So what we're going to do is it's a 22 mil. Just going to use my my 1/2-inch socket, and I can't do this one-handed, but we're going to hold this out of the way. Actually, we're just going to let it turn all the way this direction. There we go. Now it's settled up against the frame, and break. There we go, just like that. Break that sucker loose. Came loose pretty easily. You see, I can actually spin it off by hand. I'm real lucky on this. Real lucky. A lot of times, if you're in like the salt belt, you're not gonna be this lucky. This takes a lot of effort. Some of you 4x4 people out there are probably pissed as hell watching me do this because this is too easy. All right, now on this one, we're gonna hit the knuckle right here and try to pop this ball joint loose as well. Just like that. Ball joint is loose on top, ball joint is loose on bottom, ABS connector is disconnected. At this point, we should be able to hold this, get this out of the way. Give me a second here. You want to be real careful with your axle as you slide the axle shaft out of that center bore. You don't want to pull the axle. Just give it a little wiggle with it, just like that. That's all there is to it, man. There you go. You got your entire hub assembly out of the way. Lay it down gently. You're going to want to clean all this up too. Clean all this. Get all the rust, any debris in here. Get all this cleaned out. You want a nice clean surface to put all your new parts back on with. So now that we got everything out of the way, we're probably going to tie this axle up a little bit like this. There's a snap ring right here. We got to get that snap ring out, and we got to drive that lower ball joint out. Pop the upper control arm off. This thing is coming right along. Like, This is great. I'm loving it, man. I don't even realize that it's snowing and freezing and sleeting outside right now. This is great. All right, we're going to use these snap ring pliers that I got from Harbor Freight. Now on these, there's an in and an out. This is an internal, so we've got it to where when we get these in here like this, you squeeze it and it pops the snap ring out, then gently release, and the snap ring is out. Now what you're going to want to do is don't get excited and start beating on things. You want to take yourself a wire brush and really try to clean up the grooves and everything around where this ball joint rests into the lower control arm here. Really scrub it good. Try to get all the rust that you can off of it. And then we're going to use our press, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. We're going to press this ball joint out. As you can see, it's already lubed up with WD-40. Go ahead and hit it again before you're done. Get this sucker as lubed up as possible, because that's really going to help you. And I don't even think the ball joint's bad. There was no play in it, and as you can see, the boot is actually good. But I mean, we got brand new ball joints here anyway, so might as well. Let's finish cleaning this up, and let's get that press on here. All right, so I'm not too proud to admit that I was doing this wrong. Turns out I watched a Chris Fix video because he showed how to use this exact tool set, and as it turns out, he was working on something very similar to this, and this tool actually rests on the shoulder of the ball joint, which is why we're not getting anywhere. He used tool number 3, which goes back behind here, and yeah, there we go. That makes a big difference. So now this thing should pop out just like it's supposed to. So big shout out to Chris Fix, man. On a side note, halogen lamps are off, garage lights off. We got no power. Electricity's out, which means we have no heat. Yeah, so, and we're losing daylight. So we may have to make this a 2-part video depending on how dark it gets. I got no power to charge the GoPro. We have to get a hotel, actually. Yeah. Anyway, before we run out of time, like I said, we may make this a 2-part series. Let's try to get as much done on this side as possible. Let's press out this ball joint right now. And we'll slide our tool up under here, and we will get our C-clamp right here. Try to center this as best we can. Get some pressure on it. All right. Now, Chris Fix used a breaker bar. I prefer to use this. Dang. Well, this sucker is stubborn. So I guess we'll do it Chris Fix's way. We'll recenter everything here, and I will attempt this with a breaker bar instead. There she goes. Apparently my little impact just doesn't have what it takes to press out a ball joint. 1,200 foot-pounds of braking torque, but there's not too much that tool can't handle. But apparently pressing out a ball joint was just a little too much for it. Now here in just a second, you'll see this ball joint just pop. It's actually going real easy now, so another reason why it's a good idea to lube this stuff up, man. Let it soak. Here she goes. She's getting real easy now. Now what we can do, because of how easy this is getting, is we can just stick this on. Boom. Done. So here's the old ball joint. And like I said, I didn't believe this was bad, and honestly, it feels like it's probably still good. But since we're going this far with it, we might as well go ahead and just clean this sucker out. And then, of course, you want to inspect inside of here. All the edges. You want to get you a wire brush and brake clean. Clean all this up in here underneath as best you can. It's really important. Prep is everything. Clean all of this up. Throw some WD-40. Get it lubed up in there so it makes putting the new ball joint in that much easier. Let's press that new ball joint in right now. All right, I love power tools because it just makes things so much easier. I got this wire brush right here. Just gonna go inside of here and put pressure on all of the edges. Look at that. Look how clean that is. Get your favorite can of carb cleaner or brake clean. Spray that. Nice, nice, nice. Don't forget to put some lube back on it before you go pressing your new ball joint in. All right, go ahead and hit your new ball joint with some lube. Make sure that's lubed up as well. And make sure before you get all this done, you got your grease cert, your C-clamp there. Not your C-clamp, but your grease cert, your clamp, your cotter pin. Make sure you got all this handy. And let's get to pressing the sucker back in. All right, now to get the clearance that we need to basically flip the tool upside down and compress the new ball joint in, we got to use a jack to push up on the control arm. So there's a lot of pressure, a lot of tension. You're going to want to be very careful from this point forward until we get this jack out from under here, because there's a lot of pressure on this right now. We're basically going to flip the tool upside down and do the same thing we did to pull it out, but drive it back in. All right, we got the new ball joint right here. We're going to put it into this sleeve, which fits perfectly on it. We've got a cap that's going to go over this side as we press it in, just like this. So we're going to get everything lined up. We're going to put this on the bottom, and then we're going to take our C-clamp here, get our ball joint in there as best we can. Start tightening it up until things start getting a little bit snug. Do your best to make sure everything is centered. Everything sits nice and even. Now try not to scrape the hell out of your hands on the concrete here. And you got to keep your eye on this thing. Sometimes they will try to go in crooked, so you got to really pay attention to what's going on here. And then you're going to need a cheater bar because it's getting too tight to do by hand. Just keep doing this until eventually the ball joint is fully seated into its socket. You see that there's air bubbles coming out, so it's pressing in just like it's supposed to. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of this. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now. It's going in smoothly. Just keep on going until it's fully seated. All right, we've got it as tight as we can get it in. Hold on to your tool. Back off that screw. Pull your tool apart, pop it out. And what you want to see is up here on top. You can see where the clip goes. I'm going to get really in on that. There you go. Right in here, you see that lip? That's what you want to see. You want that lip out so that you can put your new clip in. Don't forget to install your grease cert. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what Firestone charged me, and this is harder because this is a four-wheel drive. This is much more difficult, and this isn't even difficult. But Firestone charged me $400 to do this on the Harley, and I only let him do it because I just didn't have time to mess with it at the time I sent it into him. Yeah, so you can do this, man. You could do this yourself. Take your snap ring. Probably want to make sure it's on the very tips here. Get your snap ring lined up here. Oh, boy, this one's a bear. There we go, just like that. Get your snap ring down in that groove. Make sure it's seated properly. And I know it's getting dark. I do apologize. Looking good. Looking good. Put our grease cert up here. Do not cross thread it, because you will regret it. And that's it for the ball joint. Next, we're going to hit this bolt down here for the shock, which is, I believe it's an 18. Yeah, 18 millimeter. Got some vice grips on the other side to hold it in place. And we will torque away till we get this bolt out of here. There we go. pop this nut off right here. Bust off the vice grips. Give it a little tap. There you go. And we will disconnect this lower end of the shock, and then we'll take the upper part of the shock, disconnect it from right there, and the shock will be ready to come out. Then we can go ahead and lower this control arm. There's no need to have it under this much pressure at this point. All right, this was totally bent. I don't know if you can see that right there, but take a look. That's bent pretty badly, so that definitely got damaged in the accident. So we're gonna pull all these pieces off here, and this actually, because of how bent this is, we may have to cut this at the top with a Sawzall, because I don't see this this sleeve. Nah, it's not gonna come off that elbow, so we have to get the Sawzall, chop this from the top right here. Let's do that now. All right, we got the Sawzall in place. Boy, she's jumping around like crazy. We got to find a way to prevent it from moving so much here. There we go. Just help steady it just a little bit. And there you have it. So if you got any broken suspension, bent pieces like this, you're just gonna have to break down and cut those suckers off. Good to go. We're getting there, boys and girls. All right, next we're gonna focus on these two bolts right here, which are 21 mils. This is the idler arm. And this sucker's on here. Oh man. All right, we're gonna put a breaker bar on that bastard. And we do have some good news. Oklahoma Gas and Electric just drove down the street here, so they're looking for the problem. Let's see if this breaker bar is gonna be sufficient. There we go. Whew. All right. Let's get that top bolt up here. Oh, man.
Mind your knuckles, sir.
Oh, shit. Hold that. Thank you.
Now remember, I'm multitasking.
Well, what are these bad boys tore down to? Like 400 foot-pounds? Jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of necessary.
And then once we get these two bolts off, it's going to relieve a lot of pressure on the suspension here. Then we're going to move over to the pitman arm, which that is going to be the bear. That's the one that I'm not sure exactly how we're going to work that out, and I'm not looking forward to it. All right, so we just got the bolts out of the idler. Idler is disconnected. Now we got to move over to this bad boy right here, which is the pitman arm. And yeah, good luck with that, right? Let's see if we can get her off. That's what she said. All right, we got power, which is good. So what we've got under here is we've got our pitman arm puller attached from where the arm connects to the center link. We're just gonna hook a 21 mil up to it and zoom the sucker right off. At least that's the way that was supposed to go. All right, take two. Point blank, she does not want to come off at all. Ain't it beautiful, man? It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at the size of those flakes. Yeah, we're gonna have to call it a night. I am gonna take you with me to do one more thing. Look at the amount of ice. This is a tiny twig growing out of the ground right here, man. Itty bitty, and it is just. That's why we've got power lines down. The trees are sagging. The tree limbs are hanging real low. We got lots of power lines coming down. Bad time, but absolutely beautiful. Always love snow. You mad at me? What are you mad at me for? What did I do to you? What did I do to you? I didn't do nothing to you. Come on, Nippy, what's up? What's up, Nippy? What's up, Nippy? Nippy. Oh, you're getting violent. Oh, you're so violent. Such a crazy dog. Nippy. Want to? You want to? Okay, so after doing a lot of research online, I'm going to have to get this pitman arm off in a way I really don't want to. I really don't like doing things this way at all. The bolt for the pitman arm is a 33 millimeter or a 1 5/16 standard socket or wrench. And I've been to Harbor Freight. I've been just about everywhere, and I can't find either. Nobody seems to make a 33 in stock, and nobody has a 1 5/16. So I saw a guy online who said he used an 18-inch. That's what we have right here, 18-inch. He said he used an 18-inch adjustable wrench. And as much as I don't agree with doing it this way, we're going to get this done, and then we're going to call it a night. And I'm not going to be able to record the whole thing. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be able to get this on there. Let's see what happens. Oh, you're not going to believe this. And I'm not even BSing you for video. Look how loose this is. I got the adjustable wrench on it. The damn bolt ain't even tight. Whoever did this work before, they left this. Just look at this. I can turn this bolt. And I swear to you, I did not loosen this up for video content. That's what it is. It's that damn loose without me doing anything to it. I am so glad I climbed under here and decided to replace this suspension. All right, boys and girls. This is where we're going to end the video. I am so damn lucky. These are the splines for the, I can't believe this. I've never gotten a pitman arm off this way, ever. I literally took my big freaking hammer and I did it like a ball joint, and I just gave it a few really good taps on the side. Look at this. It came off. I cannot tell you how. Look at this. It's off. The suspension is off. Oh my God. Have you ever seen a pitman arm come off like that? Because I sure as hell haven't. Oh, I'm so ecstatic right now. What an end to the night, man. All right, here it is. Whew. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am right now that this thing came off like that, because the way we were going to have to do it was a way I did not want to do. I was going to take a grinder, and I was going to basically hit the end of the pitman arm with a grinder as far as I could, and then take a chisel and just chisel it till it snapped. I cannot believe it came off like that. Now, I will say again, preparation is everything, and I've had this thing prepping for several days. I had all this soaking in PB Blaster. So everything looks good. It all looks like everything is going to match up perfectly. I still don't know for sure if we have a bent center link or not, but there's no reason in risking it. These parts, suspension parts, are so cheap, we're just going to replace the whole damn thing. So basically, we took all this out as one assembly. I'm not going to put it in the same way. I'll get the tie rods adjusted similarly. We'll put the center link in by itself, and I'll probably go ahead and put the idler and the pitman arm on, and we'll install this pieces, one assembly. We'll put the tie rods in later. But there you go. I'm I'm happy as can be. I really am. I wish we could have got all this done today. Unfortunately, this is a big job. It's not the most difficult job in the world, but this is a difficult job, and it's an extremely time-consuming job. I've got to get all this stuff picked up. I can't close my garage. And tomorrow is going to be another day. You know, basically the way it is right now, it's just too cold. It's really too cold to be out here right now. I need to get all this stuff picked up, and it's getting too late for me to be making a whole bunch of noise anyway. So look at this snow accumulation. Look at that. I mean, that's a pretty good amount of accumulation, and it's just falling from the sky, man. Beautiful, beautiful. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to seeing you then. I'm gonna knock out some more of this, and I'm excited to get this thing down to Firestone, see how it does with an alignment. Hopefully everything's good to go after we finish with this this whole suspension BS that we're working on right now. I know it's been a while since I made a video. I am sorry, but I'm still sick. I should not be out here doing this. To be quite honest with you, several times while making this video, I felt like throwing up. Talking makes me feel like I need to throw up. It has been a bad sickness for the last couple of days, and it all started the first. The first, I was a fever, just real bad. I'm not good, but I'm getting a lot better, and I really wanted to get this done. I'm dying to get this truck done, man, and we've got to get on that Z. There's so much to do, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Give the video a big thumbs up, please. I hope you enjoyed the content. Subscribe to the channel if you're not currently subscribed. Stay safe out there, everybody, especially in this weather. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have the conclusion with the alignment results. Because this thing, from what I've seen already, and I'll talk more about that tomorrow, this thing took a very hard hit to the suspension, much harder than I thought it did. So we'll see. We may need to replace the gearbox, maybe intermediate shaft, even though it looks okay. I don't know. So stay tuned, and I will keep you posted. I almost totally botched that. Catch you guys soon in the next one.